What is going on, party people? So this is going to be the not first ride report, but more like 15th, 20th, I don't know. I've been riding the crap out of this thing. Anyways, this is the Niner RKT 9 RDO ride report.
You can call me stupid, yes, you can call me sheep, you can say I'm lazy, you can say I'm weak. You think that using her would get to me, and if you're right then you're in trouble, D, 'cause I won't break, no I know I won't wait. You're in trouble, D.
So what we're going to ride today is going to show off a lot of what this bike can do. So this first climb we have, it's fairly technical, fairly steep as well. We've got some tight corners that you get around. So even though the 120 millimeter fork does slacken the bike out just slightly, it's still quite the sniper. So this is where I appreciate a full suspension bike so much more than a hardtail for climbing, is this technical stuff where you have a lot of sharp square edge rocks. Nice thing is it just rolls over that stuff and doesn't deflect like a hardtail normally would. And climbs like this, where it's just flat, where you can get some traction, just gear down or gear up, and you can stand up and you just don't lose traction. But when you sit down, just like standing up, you're really not giving up much in terms of efficiency. Now in terms of geometry, it's not the newest school geometry, I would say, where it has that extremely steep seat angle. This is definitely a little bit more traditional cross-country geometry, but I definitely still feel like I'm very much over the bottom bracket and not behind it. So still really, really good in terms of body positioning. So now we're going to drop into the Shoreline Trail, and this, as you may have guessed it, goes along the shore of Horse Street. So this is a little faster, got a few little sharp edge rocks here, but nothing too crazy. Definitely not a downhill, but here's where, woo, hey. Even with the 90 millimeters travel and only 120 in the front, stuff like that, staircase, no problem. And then over stuff like this, what's great is that unlike a bike with a little bit more suspension, you can stand up, climb over this stuff, and kind of point it wherever you want to go. So Shoreline, it's not the hardest trail around, but if you ride it fast, it can get a little spicy. You definitely have to watch for little pedal clipper rocks all around Fort Collins. I had a really pretty fast speed crash here quite a few months ago where I got a hairline fracture in my hand. So definitely watch out for those pedal clippers. So this is a great actually area to talk about the slackened out head angle. I have never thought that this thing is slow in the turns. Now on stuff like this where the corners get a little loose, the icons definitely suffer a little bit. So we're getting onto some steep part right here. Gonna go ahead and gauge the Fox lockout on the 34 step cast. It does provide just a tiny bit of squish there, just so it's not completely locked out. But always gotta remember to unlock it. So you may have just heard that little skid right there. The Icon 2.2 in the rear, it can lose it on looser climbs just because the contact patch is pretty small. Plus obviously the tread pattern. I do have to say that I thought that the 2.2 Icon would be not enough volume for a rear tire. And it's plenty for a bike like this if it has a little rear wheel travel. Basically, I've always run Icons on hardtails for the most part. I have run a 2.35 Icon in the rear of a full suspension bike before, and that's awesome because 235 Icons have tons of volume, like turn it up to 11 type volume. All right, so there's two options here. This is Reservoir Ridge that goes to the Mashot area, or we could go down this way. Come on, gimbal. There we go. Go down this way, which is also Reservoir Ridge, and then we'll take that road over there into Lori, and let's go into Lori. So this is Reservoir Ridge right here, and this is a very unexpectedly challenging trail, both down and up. It's very steep. You will definitely use that 50-tooth eagle in the rear on the climb out of here, and we'll do that a little bit later, but it's a chugger. Now that's not necessarily a high-speed trail, so the short travel is perfectly fine. No drops or anything like that. So the lower portion of timber, this is going to be where our hardtail would be perfectly fine. It's very smooth. The grade is very mellow all the way up. And then this is the type of trail where the Icons fly. This is exactly the type of trail that the Icons are meant for. Again, you can choose your lines so easily with this bike. So we're coming up to a fairly tight switchback right here. Just turn your head, kind of goes. All right, so we are now at the midway point of timber where it peels off on Kimmins going that direction, or you could go to Upper Timber Trail right here, and this is a great place to talk about the bike. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this rear suspension first. So it's got 90 millimeters of CVA rear suspension. It is very efficient, but honestly, I do wish it had about 10 mils more. There are zero complaints when climbing in terms of efficiency. I have never once thought that I'm bouncing around or that I'm losing energy or efficiency. But going down, and we're gonna go down Kimmins here in a second, 10 mils more travel would be nice. So what's kind of cool is that the lower pivot down here actually provides a little bit of a bash guard for at least a 32-2 chainring up here. If you were a 34, it may not provide anything for you, but it does provide a little bit of bash guard. Now, that's actually a very good thing, because the one thing about the RIP and the RKT about the frame, having that nice low bottom bracket, is that you will hit pedals. It's nice because you do feel like you're sitting inside the bike rather than on top of the bike, which definitely is the reason that Niners ride so well, but you will also have pedals that look like that. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this Fox Factory SC34 Stepcast Fit 4. The Kashima coating, good stuff right there. 120 millimeter travel, to be honest with you, plenty. I don't necessarily want more. Now, this fork is extremely light, and it is very stiff for how light it is. Now, is it really stiff? Not necessarily, especially when you start to hit a square edge rock. You'll definitely feel a little bit of deflection there. You may feel a little bit of flex, but for 120 millimeter travel fork, it is phenomenal. All right, so Drivetrain, this is going to be the GX Eagle, and for the money, I would recommend going with GX Eagle. It is a phenomenal drivetrain. It performs pretty much exactly the same as its big brother, but it is going to be a little bit heavier, but gosh, performance-wise, it's great. I mean, I would just say save your money and put your money into suspension or the wheels. Now, the stands have been really, really good. I have a tendency of running into things with my rear wheel, and I have not had any issues quite yet. Stylo cranks, they're not carbon, but they're fine for me. Cockpit up front, absolutely love that RDO bar. It's pretty awesome, and that's the bar that you can actually flip, so you can get plus or minus a certain amount of millimeters. Guide R brakes, just again, kind of like the RSCs versus the Rs. As long as they're adjusted well, you can adjust your reach right there and you're kind of done. The carbon seat post, this is not the RDO seat post, this is just a normal one, and it's fine, it's comfy. It's not the RDO seat post that provides a little bit more comfort, nor is it a dropper. Now, in almost all situations, it's perfectly fine. So I did run on the at Hall Ranch going down Bitterbrush, and trust me, I absolutely wanted a dropper going down Bitterbrush, but it was still completely rideable. Up top, we have a redesigned Niners saddle with some of the Niners little logos on there. I guess that's about it. It's time to go down. All right, so now we are going down Kimmins, and unlike Maxwell, where that was all tombstones, these are all they're called shark fins. Very, very sharp rocks that stick out quite far. So this is where a longer travel bike and Meteor tires are going to be seriously a lot more at home. This bike can handle it well, but this is where stiffer fork too will come into play, where a lot of these rocks will kind of want to twist your front wheel a little bit. But still, it holds the line really well. This will be a good opportunity to see how it goes over that section. Now again, that one is you got to pick exactly the right line. Here's an extremely tight switchback. Again, you can stand up, get speed immediately without feeling any loss in power. Still, this thing flies. And here's a little jump. Whoop. Again, a lot of square edge and sharp edge rocks here. And that's probably where you'll feel a lot of the difference in the stiffness with this fork versus, let's say, a 36. But through high speed, it's perfectly fine. All right, so that was a quick little lap on Timber Kimmins. But as you can expect on stuff like this, this bike wants to go. Okay, so we're just going to take this West Valley Trail back to the Timber parking lot, and then we're going to take the road back to Reservoir Ridge and do that extremely steep climb that I'm not looking forward to. Okay, so we are now back at Reservoir Ridge, going back up, and we are going to use that 50 tooth. I wish I had a 52 tooth almost. And I am running the 32 up front, but this trail is steep, definitely requires a lot of punchy power. So with really steep trails like this, as long as they're hard packed, you can still stand up, won't lose traction, but now we're getting into some looser stuff, and you kind of have to sit down to maintain traction. But as soon as you get on some hard pack, stand up, and pretty much only traction you lose is from your rear tire. All right, so we're back down on foothills now, and this is a short but really loose section here, and you can definitely hear the icons popping just a little bit, but definitely float a little bit more than a little beefier tire. All right, so I was going to exclude this section from the video, but so this is the Shoreline staircase, and full admission, I've never made this, so I don't think I'm going to make this today either, and probably not with the gimbal on. Oh, yep, super fail. I've only made it up to that section right there, but this is definitely the tricky section, whether you're supposed to go to the left right there and then you make it up. I've not successfully been able to actually ride it up. I could trials ride it up, but definitely not actually ride up of it.
Okay, 3 more coming.
Cool. So this is a trail where if you want to ride it kind of flowy, you really do have to pick your lines very well. And that's where the Icon doesn't do well as well with braking. Thank you, sir. Thanks, man. Some pretty awesome hikers that'll let you go. But again, you have to choose your lines pretty well here to keep your speed rolling. So there's a little sniper line right here. Thanks, man. And I don't know, as much as I was saying at the top that a little more suspension would be fine, ah boy, this is perfectly fine. I think it's really those extremely high speed descents. Thank you. And again, really have to choose your lines. Rock slalom, for sure. But yeah, so anyways, where it will not do as well is on really high speed chundry descents, like some people may know Mill Creek. That's kind of terrifying on this bike to go fast at least. But you know, drops like that, no problem. Thank you. But this section, this lower section, this is where a little more travel would be nice, but still so good. What I would say is if you're considering 90 millimeters of travel and you think it's too little, boy, it's more than you'd think. If you are coming from a hardtail, you're gonna love it. But if you're coming from a bike with more suspension, like 130, 150, something like that, then it's gonna take some getting used to. But I'll tell you what, you'll definitely love it on extremely long rides where you just want something lighter, those chugger climbs. I find myself grabbing this bike over the rip just a little bit more often, just because it can handle everything. I'm not going to go as fast going downhill, but gosh, at the same time, it's not, what is it, 3-4 pounds heavier either. So this was the Niner 2018 RKT 9 RDO ride report, part 1, because after this, we're going to make some changes, swap out some tires, put a shorter stem on this thing, as well as put a dropper. And I will see you in part 2.